Hi, I'm Allison Hagendorf, and welcome to the show. This is where we celebrate the universal love of music and the rock and roll spirit that lives in each of us. I'm so excited to start this journey with you. We have some pretty epic guests, conversations, and music in store, and we are just getting started, literally right now. Thank you so much for being part of it. I'm so glad you're here. Our guest today is Gavin Rossdale, frontman of the Grammy-nominated band Bush, who have sold over 20 million albums. Now, I do want to point out I perhaps made a polarizing choice by rocking the Bush t-shirt while interviewing Gavin. But you know what? I'm one of those people not only has no problem wearing the band t-shirt to go see the band, I proudly don the t-shirt to see the band. I don't know. I feel like it's just a sign of love and respect for the artist. And that is something that none of us can ever get enough of or give enough of. So who's with me on that? I really would like to know. Gavin is truly a Renaissance man, and we talk all about his new album, The Art of Survival, his new cooking show, his love of tennis. He's an amazing athlete, by the way. His new clothing line, what he wants his future grandchild to call him, and how Bono really him up. His words, not mine. It all starts now. So congrats on The Art of Survival. 9th studio album. It is one of my favorite albums, and it is hard as all hell, start to finish. And it starts with Heavy as the Ocean. Mm-hmm. And this song is unapologetic. It smashes you in the face, and it grabs on him and does not let go, and sets the tone and the intention for the album. So how did that song come about?
What's weird about that, thank you, first off. I've got to say quickly, when we did The Kingdom, you told me that was a masterpiece, and it was the most beautiful thing that you've ever said to me, or anyone's ever said to me. If someone puts masterpiece next to a body of work you've done, it's a great thing. So when I made this record, I was dying for you to hear it, and I was thinking to myself, because I was like, well, would you like this as well? I was so going to send it to you. I was like, no, I got to resist, don't. Because I was thinking in your position, with all your... I just can only imagine that people must be kind of leaning on you all the time. Here's this, here's that. Please tell me, validate me, help me. What is it? Do you think it's good? Do you think I should do this? And although I was really intrigued about that, I wanted to send you, what do you think of this one? I was like, stay cool. Wait till you go in there. So I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. So what happened is when I was started to write, like always, you happen upon something, that whole riff and that whole, the beat and the riff. And I was like, wow. And then when I got that Heavy as the Ocean, when that came to me, I was thinking, this really sets the tone. This is what gives my sort of weather vane for the whole thing. It has to open the record. I've never done that with any song.
Oh, really?
I just somehow with that song, I was like, okay, it helps me to know what should follow it. And if I hold that as the sort of the benchmark, then everything else makes sense with it. And so it was a weird thing because as I say, I've never done that, but it seemed really helpful. It was a real good guide,
It's like a sonic compass.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does, though. Like it's album openers are so important. Some of the Smells Like Teen Spirit opens Nevermind. You know what I mean? It's insane.
And that's the way it goes. I always think that. I always think that when I get a new record from someone, I'm super intrigued. First thing I think about is, okay, what do they want me to hear first? What do they think is their best representation? I've done that. I've done some of those talent shows, like I did that no cover thing,
right?
And someone come on and they play one song, and then they sort of scrape through the next round. They play a really good song. We're like, well, why didn't you play this song first? And you'd be in a different position. Oh, we wanted to save it, want to do this and that. It's like, well, no, you started off on a weak foot. Anyhow, I mean, what's weird is that my life as a writer is nothing but details. So every second is every detail, like anyone who makes records. It's like there's no, don't worry about that minute,
Right, of course.
It doesn't work like that.
Every second's essential.
You're fine tooth combing everything. And so, yeah. But I'm happy. I was thinking about it a lot, because it's really weird that I just want to do this heavy music. And I realized that after I did Black and White Rainbows and that kind of bruised record, when I kind of picked myself up off the floor, I was like, fuck that. I want to just be heavy. I was realizing that when I do these shows, with other band, with Mastodon, with whoever, like powerful bands, I always would take the detuned songs off the records over the years. I'd always like, okay, that one, bring this one in, bring this one in, so that I could go out there and, sort of hold face with these powerful bands. And then when after Black and White Rainbows, I just decided, I was like, oh, I don't do that. I want to make it. And I was like, so why not the whole way? So that's sort of how it was born, to kind of, it's like coming like a phoenix out of the flames, but coming back like sort of like the UFC of rock bands,
Back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
Because these last two albums are pretty heavy. They're pretty hard. I love them.
Yeah.
I loved The Kingdom. I think this is the perfect follow-up.
I mean, I like to, I love that you can't sort of forsake who you are. So even though I like that sort of more, the heavier sound, I still want to try and sing on it. I like, the trick is to try and find the kind of melodies that float across the top. And that's, to me, my sort of challenge. Weirdly, my life's work, which is funny. Like, you think like, geez, just like, play something on a piano. What's going on? No, like this really heavy guitar.
But that's what's so beautiful about the music, is that it's heavy, it's driving, it's like sick riffs, but then you have the melodic vocals. And for me, that juxtaposition, it's just that's what's so beautiful about it, and that's kind of what's so harmonious. And like with the ocean, heavy is the ocean,
right.
Like just the imagery of it.
Right.
It's that juxtaposition, or really the complement.
I love my job. It's a great thing to be able to do. You know what I mean? Just making music, make stuff out of like, I see it like this. It's like this real good pressure for anyone who makes music. There's way too much music in the world, but never enough great music.
That's true.
And so it's like, and I've done it loads of times where I sort of screwed up and probably made songs that I shouldn't have made or something like, but now I feel quite focused and that all those songs should be made.
So you're in this creative zone now, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think so. I think that I was always worried about that. And it's Nick Cave is sort of like a guiding light of someone who's a few years on me, but just the most prolific, interesting. And he's even more varied than me because he does all that stuff with Warren Ellis and the kind of the Carnage record, which is incredible.
So good. The Bad Seeds.
But just the idea of just maintaining the creativity and actually getting better at it. Like when you first start in a band, you never lift your head up. You have no sense of the horizon. You just sort of think, if I could just have a hit song, or if I could just get a record deal, if I could just get a song people like, if I just make an album, all those things, you're never really lifting up. And then when you've been around a few years and you're like, oh, wow, I've got like, 15 summers before I'm a burden. So it's like, I was like, what do I do now? Well, you better make, it's a different time. It's a different mindset. And it's not maudlin, it's sort of maturing. And I like it. And Bowie said the best thing, as many times he said it, but he said, think about getting older. What's interesting about it is that you become the person you should have been all along.
Oh, my God.
It's great, right?
So good.
And so creatively, that's what I feel. And, on other levels in my life as well, I'm trying to get better as a person, as we all should. But it's definitely creatively, I've never felt more. Before I was a bit more, I felt like I was really like instinctive and like big swathes of ideas. But sometimes I miss some nuances and I could have worked things better and not been not self-satisfied, but like sometimes as a songwriter, you kind of have a sense that if you write anything where you feel it's done, like you look at art, you look at painters, they just like, you go, are you not going to finish that face? It's like, no, that's what I saw, right. That's what I feel, that's what I think. And so you have this intrinsic sort of way of knowing when you've done something. And now all that's happened is that I'm really rigorous and I'm really much more disciplined. I don't just say, Chris will put something cool on it.
Right. What's crazy to think about is that 16 Stone is turning 30 years. I mean, and to think about what you're talking about, what Bowie said about getting older, if you can go back to the Gavin that wrote Come Down, that was your first song that you wrote completely by yourself, right? Yeah. What would you say to him? What would you say to yourself then?
Well, the best thing about it that I'm the most proud of is that I still get as excited. When I put that together and I sang that bit on Come Down and, sang the chorus and wrote the chorus, and I was like, whoa, okay. The alchemy of it is incredible because it's like, chords are just 7 notes, so you have chords, you play the chords really simple. And then when you sing on the top, you get this incredible alchemy of, like every song is based on that, So yeah, I just had that same feeling. I still have the same feeling when I wrote a song 2 days ago. That feeling, because it's just sort of, in a weird way, it's like a kind of artisan kind of, I don't know, noodle maker or something. It's like you just feel satisfied with the work that you do if you've put your life into it, and you know what I mean. And I don't know. So it's funny. I haven't lost my enthusiasm hasn't dimmed. I'm not like, oh God, the studio.
Well, you said you just wrote a song 2 days ago. Wow, are you just a prolific writer? Are you writing all of the time, or does something have to just strike you and you're like, let me get this?
Well,
down?
actually, I have six tracks I've done, and then I got some music the other day from Chris and from Eric Ron, the producers. They sent me another track.
Really?
And so I was like, I had a fist fight with it in my studio. It was like quite difficult. It was quite difficult. Because I kept on not being satisfied with it. And I come in and listen to it the next day and be like, it's not good enough. I didn't send it. I spent 3 or 4 days on it. I never done that. And I was like, I wanted to respect it. And then I had to change bits, move stuff around in order to get what I wanted. And when I got it, it was great. Because for 2-3 days, I was like, this isn't right. And I was trying to be respectful. Then I decided to be disrespectful and move stuff around, and it worked better for me. Just to be a bit...
So you're working on new music?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, because my manager, one of my managers, Peter and Brian, but Peter was like, it's all about consistency. So they wanted me to write a song for Deluxe.
Cool.
For this,
right, yes.
Deluxe. And just and then that's going to come out when the tour comes in February. So I have to go in tomorrow to sing it in the studio, and because I did it at my studio. And that's the idea, and it's really good.
Is it heavy? It's heavy.
All things must change.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I also have to say, you are the king of the ballad as well. We have to address it. I mean, you are a beautiful ballad writer.
Thank you. I love that. They in a way, they come more easily. I have that maudlin side. I do have that maudlin side. So when I get into it, I'm only allowed 1 or 2 every record, even though I write 5 or 6.
I bet.
I'm only allowed, because I understand, and even now trying to get this set right for this tour coming up, I've got a mellow song in the set, and then I probably play Glycerine in the encore. So I'm allowing myself to do 2 ballads. But the band like it because they sort of go off stage and sort of have a drink.
They get a break.
Have a drink and complain about something, It sounds terrible or something, whatever bands do.
Do you play Glycerine every set?
Yeah, I more or less do. I think I've done a few metal festivals where I felt that wasn't quite the song to do, and then other times I've done metal festivals where I thought that's exactly the song to do, because everyone's been barking like a dog for 3 hours before us. There's heavy bands coming on, and I when I remember doing Soundwave and being like playing to it's a really big metal crowd, and I was like, I sang Glycerine a cappella to the heaviest crowd you could ever play to. Yeah.
That is
and
badass.
People, and there's something about it that's part of the DNA. But conversely, I was played one in Spain, a metal festival in Spain. Did not play it there. Did not play it. Did not feel like it.
It's
yeah,
the
because
feeling.
it was really like every band you hear on every stage.
Yeah, it's hardcore. It's hardcore. Yeah.
It must be your skin. I'm sinking in. It's a bit of a weird, so not always, but most of the time. Just because it's, my favorite fact is that things like, with Slipknot, Stone Sour, Limp Bizkit, all the biggest songs are the ballads.
Of course.
All the biggest songs are the ballads. So everyone's sort of super heavy and super dark, but weepy at the same time.
Well, think about Metallica, one of the heaviest bands with such melodic, sing-along, anthemic, beautiful songs.
Yeah. And that's really. Nothing Else Matters. It's probably that and Sandman, I think, is their biggest songs. So people like that, it's a necessary part of life to have that sort of a moment of vulnerability. And I get lost in them, in those songs. And what I've always thought I should do it's a shame we haven't done it yet, but we should do it. Me and Chris have talked about it for years, is to do a small tour of like churches or somewhere, and just go play, 10 songs like that, and have a sort of a transcendental thing that you do. We've always thought of 2 weeks, 1 bus, 1 crew, 1 sound guy.
I love
go
that.
around bare bones and just play in churches, and you could do that. You could do like 12 cities. It's easy.
Oh my God, I love that
You know,
idea.
we want to do it, but we keep on going on tour with Allison Chains. No.
How was it touring with Alice? I know that Jerry's going to come out on some dates of the headlining tour you guys are going to do. What was it like being all together?
Well, it was beautiful. You know, I was going to tour with Breaking Benjamin. Mm-hmm. And then we discussed it, and I went to Reno, where we started the tour, weirdly enough. I went to Reno to do to sing a song with him, and we sang That Wood. The reason I did the Alice in Chains song with Breaking Benjamin and Ben and the guys is because we were going to tour together. So we just did it. We're like, let's do a song together and announce the tour after. Then a bit more COVID happened and stuff like that. And then I read somewhere like Alice in Chains tour with Breaking Benjamin. I was like, oh, oopsie. Oh, well. There you go. That's showbiz for you. That's showbiz. And then they asked us to come as extra guest or special guest.
Special guests.
Something, a guest, guesty.
Very special. Very special.
Very guesty. And we did it, and it turned out being an incredible tour. I realized it's funny I've known Allison Chains, I've loved them forever, but having the opportunity to hear them every night, getting to know them, you suddenly realize you're like, man, these guys are just incredible, and I love all these songs, and I know all these songs. And it was just a really good energy backstage. There was a good vibe. We always have that good vibe because who wants to be away from your life, and it's hard enough without having a great backstage. You know, the interconnection,
the camaraderie.
It's important, and it's like being gracious, and it's fun. You see people every day, and so I say hello to everyone. I hardly know anyone's names, but I'm really friendly. I just get really nervous about names or like to upset someone. So I'm just, but I think it makes a more interesting tour. And people root for you if you're cooler to them. People like that whole thing. Don't look at them in the hallway. People are going to hate you.
It's ridiculous.
People are going to hate you. I want people to love us. That's why I'm in a band. I want people to like us. So it was really good, and I got to sing with Alice in Chains. So it's brilliant. When would I ever say? I'd be like, listen, I've really got to go because I'm in Alice in Chains tonight, so I'll see you in a bit. Because we play, and then I'll be hanging out somewhere like, okay, I'm in Alice in Chains.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That. It was really fun.
That's pretty
surreal. And they're so badass, and they sound so heavy, and it's just really good fun. And then Jerry came and played with us a few nights, and Ben played with us a few nights.
So awesome.
And so the people love that. The crowd love that because then you're sort of a real, it really is
it's family. It's a familial feeling. It's a celebration.
Some kind of touring circus.
What was your relationship with Alice in Chains in the 90s?
Well, reverence, and never knew. I met him Jerry was really friendly to me always.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really friendly to me when we got on great. But it never went beyond seeing at an award show or a festival. It was always limited, but it was always respectful and nice. And then we have a brilliant mutual friend in Tyler Bates.
Cool,
he's like one of my closest friends, and he's one of Jerry's closest friends. So I met him a few times with Tyler, and it just got more and more social and more relaxed and fun. And now I feel very tight with him, very close with him,
so
which I wasn't before. I was just a good acquaintance, and now I'm sort of like good buddies and can hang out with him.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it does. It's really fun because in a way you can get caught up in the whole thing of just working so hard. You're always touring. The only time you see other bands is at festivals or award shows, and then obviously award shows are rock bands. I don't know when they were.
Right,
some
of course.
time ago.
Yeah,
back in the day, in the 90s, everything was about all these shows and everything was together. Someone asked me the other day what I miss about the 90s, actually. And I said...
I miss everything.
I realized that what I did miss was having our world being as the center stage for pop culture.
Right.
And now we've had to sort of accept that it's not. And it has a counterculture, even though I get thrown because then you go and play festivals where there's like 70,000 people. So it's like, it's not dead, but it's just in a different place.
It's true.
Right?
The 90s were so unique because the alternative culture was mainstream. Mm-hmm. That's the irony of it. And now it's still so alive and well. It's just not that mainstream. That was like...
It's almost where it should be because it's like, it is counterculture and it's counter ideas, and it is sort of has a revolutionary side and an uplifting side that just sort of doesn't come from being the most the biggest thing. I don't know. It's
Right.
like a weird. I'm at peace with it. It just sort of is what it is.
It's
just,
perfect.
It is what it is. And as long as I get the chance to come in here and make records and go on tour and play to a lot of people, which we do, I don't know what. There's not much to complain about. You know what I mean? And some of the things in the modern culture, the popular culture, some of the tracks and the music and is really fun and really good.
It is fun.
It's like it's fair enough. You know, I just think it's the job of everyone in rock bands to make the best records you can, because its popularity as a genre is dependent on the records that are coming up. You know, of course, the Zeppelin catalog is essential and brilliant, but in order for it to be in the mainstream, people got to make the best records, and the less homogenized records people make in the rock world, the better. The more individual, the better, you know, because then you start getting, you know, great bands. I mean, you know, you take Idols and
I love Idols.
You take, you know, the Deftones, and you take a few bands, and I've always thought that the funny part is there is no competition in music except with yourself, because I want a great record from Bad Wolves and the next Deftones record and from whoever, Wet Leg.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at anyone for making a good record, and it's not like, oh no, that's too good and it's good. How amazing you can spin through 3 or 4 records of that genre and be into it. And so it's everyone's responsibility that makes rock music to make it as interesting and as diverse as possible.
I love that. You're absolutely right. And I think it is as diverse as it's ever been as right now. Mm-hmm. Like even the term rock, an alternative, is so ambiguous, and it almost means different things to different people.
Right.
But I'm all about celebrating all of it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful time. I think that there's terrible things. There's the war, the pandemic. There's just incredibly bad things going on. But at the same time, I think it's it's the most progressive time. I mean, the support in the mental health world has never been there. Now that's even though people say mental health awareness, you know, it's like, well, they're saying it. 10 years ago, no one even spoke about that. Sort of people would just sort of write songs or make work to kind of deal with their neuroses. And now people have lots of forms of support. Technology is incredible. This Chat GPT is insane. Where the world is going. I think it's a really exciting time.
I think it's such an exciting
Super
time.
Exciting time.
You're absolutely right. I think that people might not realize how many obstacles you had to overcome to get to where you are. And in several interviews, you've said that you always felt like timing wasn't on your side. You know, like you were in England at a time where the music you were doing was not popular. You got a lot of criticism about your voice, your main instrument. And I just think that that's really rewarding for people to hear that you had a lot of things stacked against you, but you persevered and made it work for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way. There's no success story that doesn't come with so much torture with it.
Right.
But I mean, because life is about how you deal with the torture.
Yeah.
Because life has a way of slapping you in the face as much as it has a way of caressing you, you know? And so I don't think it's any different for anybody. And what's most intriguing is when you talk to anyone who's had any degree of success, they'll give you a roadmap that was not pretty. I mean, I don't know anyone has that sort of perfect arc of things like that. And I think that's what makes you, and that's also what separates you, because people fall by the wayside. They just lack, I mean, you are the opposite of this, because it's motivation. It's motivation. It's how motivated are you? It's not the best people that succeed. It's the most motivated people that succeed. The best people sort of, you know, unless they have motivation, it's redundant, because you're going to be overtaken by someone who has got way more motivation than you. And so you're just in the dust with one bit of great thing, but they've done, you know, 5, 6, 7 things. And so that's what it comes down to. And you sit with anyone who's really achieved stuff, that roadmap will also show a massive amount of tenacity in the face of failure, near misses, and motivation. And it is like it's motivation and discipline, they're sort of intertwined, you know. Mm-hmm. But that's what it is, you know. Sit there and do it. Like for me, I've had a lot of success, but I'm like being not harassed, but suggested that I should bring some new music. I never brought out a record, and then 2 weeks later I'm sat in my studio. But it was really good to do that, because I was like, oh, this first one's not so good, but the second one's better. So it's like a muscle. You got to keep going. So, okay. So now I just sort of go, I accept it. If I don't have anything to do else in the day, I should go in and see what happens, because I've never been 6 or 7 songs in of stuff I love within 2 months of a record coming out. It's like, normally I'm like lazy, unmotivated guy that goes, oh no, this is my time off. I don't have to think about writing, but why not? You're doing yourself a disservice. And one thing I probably have lacked is a little bit of consistency. And there've been times where too long has lapsed in between records, and I've done tours, but then I'm just, and then take too long to come back, and then, okay, now I'm going to write. Now I'm 5-6 months not doing anything because I was sitting in the studio trying to write. And then, so this feels better. It's more sort of ongoing.
That's what makes you a rock star, because you are a rock star in the literal sense, but you have a rock and roll spirit that applies not only to your music, but it's how you approach life. I mean, you pour it into everything you do. You have numerous passions, numerous talents, and you pursue them all consistently, relentlessly, and with fervor. I mean, people might not know that, of course, music seems to be your grounding pillar, but your love of physical fitness and sport, your love of food and cooking and family. It's almost like each one is as important and plays its role. And to me, that's why that makes you such a rock star.
Thank you. Yeah, they're very essential parts of of life. And in a weird way, I sort of do very few things so that I can do those things as well as I can. I dedicated my life to tennis, and people say, hey, you want to try this? You want to go surfing? I'm like, hell no, I'm having trouble with this. This is enough to keep me going and focused.
So you like to focus on one and get really good at it.
Yeah, because then it's so much more fun. I mean, yeah, the years I've spent playing tennis mean that when I play, it's really fun. It's an incredible workout because I shouldn't miss the ball too often. Right. But if you miss the ball all the time, it's not really a workout. You're basically picking the ball up.
That's true. Care for your back.
Yeah, back your back. You're running out in the park. So, you're stepping across someone's picnic going, I'm sorry, can I have that ball back? Like that. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you hit it so you make it work, then you have to hit 30 of them in a row, that's a different workout. That's a different workout. I mean, you're
an athlete, though, through and through. I mean, you grew up, you were like a semi-professional soccer player. Your live shows are so physical. Tennis, I mean, has
I'm
physical...
an art jock. I'm an art jock.
You're an art jock.
That's what I am. That's what I am. Because I love sport. I've always loved it, Bob Marley he loved his football and people, I don't know. It's a really good thing to do. And in fact, there's been so much rain that I have not really been out as much as I haven't played for a while. But
what about eating? Do you eat a certain way? I mean, I know you, of course, love food.
Yeah. I just live it up. I just, I'm not an idiot. So I don't have fried chicken every night, but I love fried chicken. Mm-hmm. So I just, it's all moderation, everything in moderation, including moderation, right?
Of course.
Isn't that Oscar Wilde?
I live by that, exactly.
So you have that balance, and I just know I need to, going on tour is a bit of a drag because you end up drinking every day because you just can't help it. It's right there. And I'm like, I don't know if I should keep drinking every single day, but I guess that's being English and stuff like that. It's not like I'm not even a heavy drinker, but so that I need to think about that stuff a bit more carefully, just try and avoid it. Funny enough, like 3 or 4 nights in, I don't know what to drink. I've had enough.
It's true. It's like diminishing returns.
Well, especially if you have like a couple of tequilas on New Year's Eve. That's what we did. We played the night before New Year's Eve. And it was a laugh. We had the 1942 and me and Chris and the ice and great time. Not mad, but 3 or 4 good tequilas, having a laugh. Go to bed. Next day is New Year's Eve. We're playing. What do you want to drink? I was like, I don't know if I really want to.
Yeah. Now let's talk about your love of cooking. You are so adept.
I don't know what that is. I just have a real connection to it. I love it. And I just love, I think it's just, I've cooked for you. And it's just that thing of, it's such an act of sort of care and semi-servitude. Yeah. But it's care. It's an act of care and indulgence, the longer you take to make it. So just, because it just elevates the moment, elevates the connection, elevates everything. And, in this world where my kids are just obsessed with being online and playing Fortnite or GTA, and now they play together against the world. It's pretty fun. I have 3 boys and they, in different rooms, they're all playing together against strangers online. And then I'm like,
what's going on here?
Shouting at each other for the 8-year-old is not doing it, but he's really good. He's better than the other 2.
Oh, is he? That's amazing.
He's really good. Because they're young, he's grown up with it. But he's just really good. He takes them out. So the mealtime is really important, I think. Really essential for us to connect and just sit there. We just all sit there. So if you did it where it's more staggered and broken and, like when they're not there, I might eat standing up, do you know what I mean? It's not, but when they're there, it's really fun to create that bond.
So
maintain that bond.
Well, it makes it, music and food are both universal languages.
Yeah.
They're a way to express yourself. It's an outlet to create. Do you approach sort of how you create music differently than how you create recipes or food? Or
Well, I think everything's about the balance of things. Mm-hmm. So no, they're probably really similar. I mean, I'm not that smart. So it's like I probably have a system that I apply to everything. You know what I mean? So I probably play tennis the same way that I cook and then break things down and just sort of there's just a right, is it Tom Waits, my favorite, that phrase.
Say it again though, please.
It's so good.
The way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Yeah.
It's better when you say it. Let me hear you.
Well, it's the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Yeah.
And I love that. And it's so true. And if you live like that, it's a really good guide.
It's absolutely beautiful.
It's a helpful guide. But it's just a laugh.
I need to reiterate to everyone listening that Gavin is a generous cook. And one of my best nights was coming over to your beautiful home and having you cook for me. It was a very out-of-body experience. Here is Gavin Rossdale shaving truffles for me.
Right, yeah.
I was like, am I in a dream right now? Is this really happening? And then more truffles would come over, and you were just so gracious. And that was one of my favorite nights ever, just so you understand.
Wow, thank you.
You're really talented, though. I don't think people hear, I play tennis or I cook. You're being modest. You're excellent. You're very, very adept. I don't know if people realize
but
how
terrible
skilled
at golf.
Terrible at golf. That's a different kind of thing.
I've never played it.
You were on Rachel Ray and you quoted the English cook. I've seen everything. Nigella Lawson, and you said, butter is a mood enhancer. And that's really spoke to me.
Yeah.
Can you please say that again? Because I keep hearing it in my mind.
Well, Nigella Lawson is a phenomenon. And she's this wonderful cook, cookie writer and cook. I mean, because she doesn't cook in any professional kitchen, so she's a chef. But anyway, amazing woman. And that's what she said. She has this wonderful way of talking, and she's very charismatic and very sort of sensual. And that's what she said. Butter is a mood enhancer. And that's so true. As soon as you add butter to anything, you go, everything's better with butter, because you finish it in sauces better. And it emulsifies things and it gives it a little sheen. And it's ridiculous. It's like you can put it in a scrambled egg to finish it. So yeah, Rachel Ray was fun because they were like, you got to cook something. I was like, oh my God. And how long have I got? They're like, a couple of minutes. And I was like, I haven't had a good scrambled egg at all on this whole tour. I'm doing eggs.
Perfect.
I'm doing eggs.
But you did it several ways.
Yeah.
I love that. So much
because I didn't know if they shortchanged me. I didn't want to shortchange and be like, all right, you made scrambled eggs. Whoopee-doo. So I was like,
it was beautiful.
I had to do 3.
It's very artistic, very artful.
Just do 3, just to step it up,
We have to talk about your cooking show, Eat. This has been in the works for a long time as it's finally happening.
Yeah, well, I'm at the last stage of it, which is, it's really hard to get stuff made.
Yes.
It's really, really hard. And it's been 4 years. It's the weirdest thing. Again, there's that story, it will come out and people will like it. And people will be like, oh, look at it. It's so great. They won't know that I spent 5 years trying to make it, 5 years of the wrong producers, 5 years of the wrong showrunners, deals that fell through. Everyone loves it, except commissioning editors. If I showed it to you, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm watching that. Yeah, everyone says, I want to watch that because I've shot 2 episodes. So we have a home for it. And now it's the last piece of the financing. And I'm just like, anytime it's ready, because people are really asking me about it. If we can, how's it going? So I don't know. It's just that this is the last stage. But the hardest thing is to get it going. Mm-hmm. Once it gets going, then it'll be much, much easier because people will have faith in it and believe it, So yeah, I'm close to doing it. Basically, it's really based on, I love to cook, as you know, and I was looking to ways to stay home more and not have to tour. I've got to go tour to pay for the food we like.
Right, of course. Those truffles that you gave me.
I got to go on tour for those truffles, and which is okay. I accept that, but having so many kids, it's nice to be around. And I was thinking, is there something I can do that's here and just work in town? Why do every So that's how it began. And I originally did it as a dinner for 6 because I thought of John Favreau's. He did a dinner for 5, and I was like, so I went for lunch with him. I took him for lunch, and I was asking him about it, and I was like thinking, ooh, making 5 other people all relaxed at once and cooking. I was like, no, one-on-one is the move. And then suddenly you have this amazing connection. Like we're doing exactly what we're doing, but with wine, with the truffles.
Sign me up.
It's
and
like,
truffles, yeah.
It would be that.
And butter.
So that's what it is. It's really basic. I mean, I think the simplest things are often the best ideas. And I loved what I found out with Tom Jones. I shot him and Jack McBrayer. And just was sat back in kind of like awe at their journeys and what they've been doing, how they got there, and really interesting people. And Tom Jones obviously is unbelievable, inspiring. And just hearing about his background and how it began and his time in, whatever, guitar shopping with Elvis. I think that's just stupid.
Beyond, yeah.
It's really stupid.
Who would be a dream guest for you on your show?
I mean, anyone from Quentin Tarantino to Steven Spielberg.
Amazing.
To, get Dave Grohl to come in, sing with him, cook for him, have a laugh. But I don't know, all these things. I'm not going to be asking any of my friends because it's embarrassing. I know they wouldn't, you don't want to say no. So I'll see. It's just I want to take people that I respect and I think are really creative and have been on a specific journey.
Does your family realize how lucky they are to have you cook for them?
Well, you'd have to ask them. I don't know. I think so, probably. What's funny about it is that I found out that my 16-year-old, he doesn't really help, but he loves the food and he's got a killer palate, and he cooks at his mum's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it kind of rubs off. But
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, well, sort of. He calls me up for advice, and I'm like, can I tell you about the bit that you boys are going to eat, and then do the bit to the rest of it I don't care about so much? Season this bit.
Right.
Do not take care of that bit of it.
That's amazing.
And sabotage the rest of it. But I'll give, what bit are you going to eat?
Right. I'll give you different directions depending on which part.
Yeah.
Well, you have more of your family to cook for because you're going to be a grandfather.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I mean, how does that make you feel? Daisy is pregnant. Congratulations.
It's incredible. I mean, my ego was a bit rocked, but I think that I realized that how amazing, because I will get to know her. I won't be some like old fart who can't, it's like I'm just, whatever, and I think that's I'm really happy about that because it's such a legacy. I mean, it's incredible. We all think of ourselves as 18 mentally,
right, of course,
in our
100%.
lives, and it's a shock when you kind of you either see yourself or you consider where you're at in your life. So it's amazing, I think it's just, I love that whole thing of having a massive family and having it all like that. So I'm really, really happy for her. So what she's going to be amazing. So it's really good. So, yeah.
What are you going to be called? Are you going to be called
Papa.
Papa?
Oh, I went straight in for that. I was like, okay, then Monica, we're going to deal with a Monica, okay? None of that. You don't be giving me any, this is what we want. I won't answer to anything else, okay?
Okay, so it's Papa?
Papa.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it'd be great. It's wonderful. I mean, what a rich life. I'm so lucky. You know what I mean? I sort of, so many times it could have gone off the rails and things have happened that, could have meant that I wouldn't have been here in this seat today. But through design and through motivation and the fortune of being around a lot of great people, I get to be here today, and that's an incredible thing, because I could have really, do you know what I mean? I could have really screwed up and written some terrible songs in the last few years and not really, I tried, and just, it happens. People do fall away despite their best intentions or best desires, And so the fact is to keep my shit together enough to get to this point today in Burbank, that's cool. And like to have Snoop has, I think, a number of he's papa to a number of kids.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
It's just how it goes. And in fact, it's sort of, in England, normally sort of within my life, like about 20 years ago is when people start getting that, normally because they have kids and their kids have kids when they're in their 20s.
Yeah.
It's over. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's a beautiful life. It's how it should be. And that's an achievement in of itself, you know?
That's beautiful. And we also can't forget your clothing line. I mean, as if this is all weren't enough, you now have the clothing line that's coming back.
Yeah, that's coming back too. That's going to be on sale in 2 weeks. It's going to be coincide with the tour. I'm going to start with just like basics, like it's like 2 or 3 t-shirts and a hoodie in a couple of color swaps. I have the whole Shopify account and everything. It's really
That's
close.
unbelievable.
I don't know how we're going to market it, so thanks for the plug because I'm screwed on that front. But it's like so it's very simple. So every 5-6 weeks, I'm going to drop another piece, and then you've got the nutrition facts where I took the back of a food label and I changed it to humanist stuff.
Wow.
So it's all the, because you have the trans fat bit.
Of course, yeah.
So I put all that as all rights. It's all got
awesome.
Trans rights, whatever rights, saturated rights, like that. It's all the thing, and then all the percentages to it. It's funky. It's cool. It's got a thing.
I feel like your mind is always racing. You're always feeling needs to create, and it's several outlets, and you're always doing. What do you do to sort of become grounded and to calm down and to take a moment and actually think about nothing? Is that difficult for you?
It's difficult, but I'm really in love with Bono's book.
Oh,
I'm halfway through Bono's book, and I'm dying to. I can't wait to finish it because I don't know. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are going to read it, but I know it's a long read. Mm-hmm. He's quite he wasn't on tour, so he had a lot to say, and it's brilliant. It's just all these funny things, and it's a really I'm a huge U2 fan,
Same.
and really inspired by them, and. It's funny because I think that I haven't spoken about it enough. I haven't spoken enough about how his melodies and how his words affected me and provided a benchmark that I'm not necessarily anywhere near reaching, but just a very, very, very powerful band. And I love them as people. I toured with them as Institute. I never toured with them with Bush because we didn't play for anyone. Back in the day when we was Fab, didn't open for anyone. Now it's like, what do you got? We open for anyone. But apparently, not anyone. No. Obviously, I was happy. I was very happy this summer. It was good. But
I didn't realize that you loved U2 like that. I feel the same way.
No, I do.
Yeah.
It's just because you can't. I mean, the Joshua Tree, the Unforgettable Fire, Bad, those songs, With or Without You. Mm-hmm. I remember it was a really formative time. I remember being in my kitchen, one room down from where I wrote all the 16 Stone songs, where I wrote Come Down in that kitchen.
Oh, wow.
Graffiti-laden kitchen with like a little single cooker and super fun punk location. And I remember coming home and when the Joshua Tree came out, and I had a tiny little hi-fi system. And I remember sitting the player on my fridge and playing With or Without You because they knew what's happened. I was like, oh, this is way slower than I was expecting. How do we got,
Yeah.
And yet being seduced by it within, 20 seconds. And so massive for me. And then when I went on tour with them, I think we went twice with them, I had so much fun just sitting there watching him every night.
Watching Bono in particular,
watching the whole band.
Yeah.
But yeah, watching him. I mean, he's a master on stage, and he's one of my favorite singer. He's probably my favorite singer of all time.
Wow.
I think him and Chino. I like their voices.
Chino's
not crazy dissimilar in a way.
Right.
Similar plaintive howls that sound really good.
It's true.
They have a connection.
True. I never thought about that before, but yeah, I do see that.
So I'm doing that, but I find it quite hard to just sit there. I did invest in an infrared sauna that apparently is really good for you.
Really?
Yeah, so infrared and to put it outside. But I got YouTube in there, so I watch cooking videos, instructional. I sit in there and sweat. So I work out, then I sit in there and sweat. And I got YouTube in there. It's brilliant. I can just watch. I just Google 3 Michelin-starred chef examples or demos, and they sit there and they do something complex, and I'm like, okay, that's how they do that. All right, just learn little bits. So that that's super relaxing for me.
What about right before you take the stage? What's going through your mind?
Just to warm up really properly, and I'm super relaxed. I can be talking to you like
Aw.
this, and just as long as I'm warmed up, my body's warmed up. I mean, like I'm a diesel engine now, so it's got like the body's got to be right. The voice is definitely my voice has to be warmed up,
Right.
and I have to warm up physically because I can't go out on stage and bounce around.
I have this picture of you. I love this picture. You're about to take the stage. And then I also realized that there I am photobombing you, right?
Oh, wow. Nice.
This was really funny. Bush had posted this on their Instagram, and I'm like looking at the picture, and I'm like, oh my God, there I am. There I am with Brian right there in the back. I was very pregnant at this show.
You're both in shorts, Brian.
Both in shorts.
Rocking the shorts. I like it.
I think this was at the Greek when you guys did that.
Oh, that's
and then here's another picture of us. This is at the Roxy.
Wow. That's really nice.
That was a fun night. Playing the Roxy is like so special.
I do remember that night.
Yeah, it was such a fun time.
Nice pictures.
Okay, so I have one last thing to do and I will stop torturing you.
There's no torture. I'm having fun.
It's now time for my lightning round, my deep cuts.
Okay.
If you weren't a musician, what would you be?
Cook.
Of course. What was the album that changed your life?
Probably Ziggy Stardust.
Oh, amazing. Was there a movie that changed your life?
Well, a movie that changed my life? No.
Or a go-to that you love?
Yeah, go-to. I mean, I love Scorsese. He is my, Goodfellas, I've seen the most amount of times of any movie, I think. My favorite movie, my go-to movie would be Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, amazing.
Just because Anthony Hopkins, Jodie Foster, Jonathan Demme.
That's a perfect film.
It's a really crazy film.
What was your first concert?
First concert, my sister's boyfriend band called the Nobodies at a sort of a miscellaneous pub in Kentish Town in London.
Do you remember how you felt that day?
Exhilarated. I used to carry his bass. He used to sort of help. I didn't help really at all. I used to go to these dank, stinky, cold rehearsal rooms and thought they're the most exciting places I'd ever been. So I would help load gear in and help them a bit. I don't think I really helped very much. But like,
you were hanging out.
Yeah, I was hanging out
there,
and like
supporting.
I was just like the kid brother. And what was cool is my sister was a very, very cool punk. So there's a lot of English punks. And I just was like like always in that punk world, you'd have like the young kid with like the egg white in his hair, so it's all spiky and just all the safety pins and just hanging out with my sister and all of her friends. And it was like, so that was my first gig.
Do you think it was maybe that moment when you realized that's what you wanted to do?
Well, the fact that I wasn't turned off by these terrible rehearsal rooms gave me an inkling that I sort of liked. Sometimes when I have people come visit, especially with playing the beginning, the clubs sort of get quite hardcore, you know what I mean? Like at one toilet for like everyone, including the crowd, and you have like terrible dressing rooms and your shit. It like separates, either you have the guts to just go through that and embrace that and have a laugh with it, or you're just like, oh my God, how can I live like this? And I was like, I loved it. It just sort of appealed to my, I don't know, just appealed to me. And sometimes when you have friends come visit, I sort of feel bad for them because I know that it's a bit rough for them, a bit rough living. I remember friends of mine coming to see me on the bus when I was like, you got these European, these buses in Europe especially, where there's tiny you sleep in a little like coffin.
Right.
And just people come in seeing it, just who kind of lived a nicer life than that, kind of going, oh, how it's really hardcore. It's like a kitchen, like the food comes out amazing, but when you go in the kitchen, it's pretty hardcore.
Right.
It's just, it's just a different thing, behind the scenes. It's
of course
not quite as, it's not the finished thing.
That's what's rock and roll. Yeah. What is a song you wish you wrote?
Oh my God, Bad.
Oh, you too? Yeah, that song. Wow. Chills.
I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Any of them really.
Streets have no name. I mean, I can go on forever. One is probably the best song ever.
Did you see Eddie Vedder do one at the Kennedy Center Honors? Oh my God, he crushed it. That's hard to do, Yeah,
he changed the phrasing too much for me personally, but cool. I mean, no one's going to sing it like Bono.
Right, of course.
I mean, I obviously Eddie's great and I respect him a lot, but.
Well, actually, Mary J. Blige was supposed to sing it, but she had fallen ill, so he did it last minute.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, what I liked about it was impressive as he sang it as he should, like Eddie Vedder.
Right.
So he has a whole different phrasing approach. He's much more fills it.
Yeah.
Whereas Bono has a bit more, has a different phrasing.
That's true.
So that's what it was. I'm just so,
in love with the
obviously I have
original
a deep respect for Eddie Vedder, but I do love it when Bono sings that song.
Yeah, I mean,
gotta say, he's really, really good. It's just, and I've been fortunate enough to be around him quite a bit, and just my favorite thing with him is, in fact, he fucked me up because one time he's in my studio, and I had these speakers, and I think there was sort of ATC. They were 50 watts, pretty loud for a small studio. He played me the U2 record of the time. And he sang.
Oh my God.
To me, the whole record, right? It was funny. But then I played him some stuff of mine, and he's really helped with. I've done it for a long time where I would send him records and get critiques on songs.
Wow.
Right? Just sort of to get some help from him, what he'd think. And I didn't do it in the last couple of records, actually. I was scared it got a bit heavy for him. But I played him the Bush record, what we're doing. And he was talking to me over it, and I was like,
while you're playing him?
Yeah, and I was thinking, I need to get some speakers so I can't hear. He can't be able to talk over the fucking music. So I got the 150s. It cost me, I spent another 10 grand or something, 14 grand on these speakers, so that no one could speak to me ever again if I'm playing a song. Can't hear anyone. It's like after, yeah.
Let's wait a second. Oh my God, so, Bono. What is something people would be surprised to learn about you?
How much part of the process of writing is to have crippling self-doubt and imposter syndrome. It's really hard to avoid. When it's not going right, you're like, oh my God. No, I don't really have imposter syndrome like I'm a fraud. Just sometimes I go, that's not very good.
Right.
What am I going to do? It's not very good. And it's not good until it's good. When you're in a studio and someone's playing something and they're not delivering, you go, we have this phrase in the studio we go, could he, I don't know, just do something good.
I love that.
Could you do something
do something good?
I don't know about that, not feeling like do something good.
Kind of takes the pressure out.
And it's just that thing. And so I part of the process for me, I have my best friend Alex in London. He laughs at me because, before I wrote the song, these last few days when I was writing some songs, at the start, I was all paranoid on the phone to him. I was like, I don't know, it's not coming right, and I can't get it. He goes, it's exhausting. Your process is exhausting. Let's talk in a couple of days. And then I send him a song. He goes, okay, could we just ever avoid that first stage of the self-doubt? So I think that people assume that people with success have this sort of, this is in a way to sort of help people who also have that sense of self-doubt when they're working, is that it's a natural part of creativity. Right. And without that self-doubt, you're not policing yourself. If you think you're great at all the time, then when's the point for reflection or for change? I mean, if you just think you're so great, everything I touch, everything I do is amazing. It's like, is it?
Right.
Whereas if you have, maybe not as crippling as it can get, but if you have a degree of self-doubt, a degree of like second guessing yourself, a devil's advocate on yourself, you might end up with something better. Not to the point where you wash the life out of it and suddenly you end up with nothing, but more to the point where you just push yourself. And so I think that would be it, because people might think, oh, he's smug because he's got a hit record. He was number one. He probably thinks he's all that. It's like, it's not how it works.
No, you need to be a little uncomfortable for the art to come.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you hope your sons learn from you?
Just to really to have empathy and sort of to see people's think of people's what it's like for them. We can get so wrapped up in being self-centered and see everything through our glasses. Mm-hmm. It's like everyone has a different perspective on things because there's someone else's way of seeing it. So I think that I tell them, just be polite and be funny, and life is going to open up for you. Life's going to open up, and that's what I think it is. So I mean, my main thing for them, they used to say to me over the years when I started having kids, have you started to write songs for your kids yet? I'd be like, oh my God, terrible idea. No, I haven't written songs about them or anything like that. I said, the only thing that difference kids make in your life, and I have it with all 4 of my kids, is I want to not impress them, but I want them to like what I do. How awful if they like, my dad's in the band. I don't know this record. Don't listen to that one. I want.
Do they like your music?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because it's driving and it's just it's powerful. And now Kingston, my eldest boy, he's been recording and he's been writing and doing some amazing songs. And he's
that's
really,
amazing.
He's very, very good. And
wow.
So
does he ask for your insight? Or is he doing it?
He plays stuff for me all the time. He just played a new song the other day. I'm just blown away by him. And his voice is getting really good. He works with, other professional songwriters. So he comes back with real songs. It's not like him and his mates. He's done him and his mates. And that gave a certain thing. His band was called, oh my God, it was the best band name ever, Sex Ed. I was like,
really?
That's the greatest band name ever. And now the band's not really happening. So, But
he's continuing. He's writing. He's recording.
They would rehearse in my garage. They'd rehearse in my garage, and then they'd all be. I'd cook for all of them. They'd all come for dinner. We sit outside in the big table outside, and I'd sit and I'd sort of quiz them. And they were much more. They were sweet because they saw me as a guy in a band because they're all musicians, and for King, I was just his dad. I'm the caterer. The caterer who cares about him. Loves him a lot. So. It was an interesting dynamic, and so they'd rehearse, and then we'd sit and eat. It was great. It's so much fun.
That's amazing. Yeah. You are the coolest dad and soon-to-be granddad, Papa, ever. Gavin, thank you so much. You are the best.
Thanks for having me.
You're a Renaissance man, and you are such a lovely human being.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
How great is Gavin? I could seriously just sit here and listen to him speak for hours. Okay, it is now time for my sound advice, new music you need to know, featured on the Allison Hagendorf Show playlist. That link can be found in the show notes. I am kicking it off with the new song from Kid Brunswick called Blow. I love this artist. He is from London. He is completely independent. When I was at Spotify, I put his song Prescription Kid on pretty much every playlist possible. He's just one of those true talents that he writes, records, produces himself. He cites Kurt Cobain, Tom York, Travis Scott, Trent Reznor as his influences. I just love his unique sound. I also want to feature the new song from Yannicka called Panic. I love this band. They are from Brighton. Superstar front person Teresa Jarvis is a force. And they also write and produce themselves. I'm always just so impressed with that. The new song from LS Dune's Permanent Rebellion is a banger. I heard it and I was like, what is this? Who is this? What's happening? The answer is it's a supergroup, and it's comprised of members from Circa Survive, My Chemical Romance, Coheed and Cambria, Thursday. This is a dream collaboration for me, and this song is a go-to for any workout. I also have to give a shout out to the artist Ferdinand, formerly known as Left Boy. This song, Sex Party, is a rock party anthem and is also the official theme for the Allison Hagendorf Show. So thank you, Ferdinand. Much love to you. All of these songs, plus the latest from Bush, Heavy as the Ocean, which Gavin and I spoke about, will all be on the Allison Hagendorf Show playlist. The link is in the show notes. And I'd also love to hear what new music you guys are feeling, so let me know. Thank you so much for being part of the Allison Hagendorf Show. New episodes drop every Friday. Make sure you follow and subscribe so you never miss a thing. You could find the show wherever you listen to podcasts, and the video cast will be on YouTube and Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. So please rate, like, comment, review, whatever you are feeling, and reach out to me on socials at Allie Hagendorf. I would love to connect with you. Thanks again. I'll see you next week. And remember, you're a rock star.